The Joe Rogan Experience.
Right? Because that's why I hate doing cable news hits, because I have 2 minutes to basically deduce a complex issue that we've been debating for decades, almost centuries.
It's the worst. And it's also people talking over each other, and there's one, you know, they have two boxes, one guy here, one guy there. Absolutely. Usually you're not even in the same room together.
Nope,
you're talking through those earpieces, there's a delay. Those things are a disaster.
They're horrible.
It's one of the worst ways to communicate.
Horrible, which is why I try to establish my platform with my show Noir. I try to have it as a platform that's open to people to come on. Hey, look, you want to come on and discuss this issue? By all means, come do it.
Have you had anyone that's like really strict anti-gun on?
Yeah. I had an entire season. So what we did in the season, I think it was 2 seasons ago, we brought on, it was a young lady and a guy from New Zealand, I can't remember. But he came on the show. They were anti. And so what we did was we had a roundtable discussion at the end of every episode of my show. And we would bring up a specific topic and we discuss it. And so and basically it was like 2 against 1 essentially. And so they would talk to me about what their thoughts on what we talked about in the show or a particular gun control issue. And we had that conversation. I had an individualized sit down with her as well. And we talked about it and then took her to the shooting range to shoot for the first time, you know, but that's going to be overlooked.
Right.
They ignore it.
Well, they're probably not even aware of it because I wasn't aware of it.
No, they're aware of it.
You think
the people who need to be aware of it are aware of it.
Okay.
Because, like, for instance, I bring this point up, and it makes me come across as if, like, I feel some type of way because he didn't mention me, but it's not really that. It just speaks volumes to what I've been pointing at for the longest. They ignore rational discourse. John Oliver did a 20-minute monologue on NRA TV, about NRA TV, right? 20 minutes. You know how long a 20-minute monologue is? That's a long time.
That's pretty long, yeah.
He didn't mention me once. He didn't mention my show. I have 3 shows on NRA TV. 3 shows. And I have the second longest running show on NRA TV. He didn't mention me once. The level of detail that they went into within that monologue lets me know they watched everything on that platform.
Okay.
They watched it all.
And why do you think he left you out?
Because it didn't fit the narrative.
Right. Also, because he is a progressive guy with glasses who's white, and you really shouldn't say anything negative about black people.
How so? He's not white though. He's a minority just like me.
What is he?
I don't know. He's like I don't.
John Oliver? He's white.
John
as
Oliver's
fuck.
not white.
What is he then?
John Oliver white.
If he's not white, I'm not white. What the fuck is he?
What are you like
Mostly
Italian
and Irish?
and Irish?
Irish? Yeah. Am I white? If I'm not, what the fuck is?
If I saw you on the street, you are.
In the olden days, I wasn't. My grandparents weren't white.
Yeah.
When my grandparents came over, that guy's white as
Is
fuck,
John Oliver
bro.
white?
He's white like paper. Look at him.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh shit, I'm wrong. Well, there you go.
What did you think he was?
I don't know. I never thought
Are you
about
getting
it.
him confused with the Daily Show guy?
I probably am.
Trevor Noah?
No, not Trevor. I know about Trevor. Damn, you're right.
Yeah, he's white as fuck. Damn. He's a white Englishman.
Man, I'm racist.
But for a guy like that, guys like that here's the thing about progressives, and I like John Oliver. I'm not negative against John Oliver.
No, I'm going to say
he's
this.
doing a show.
I had this perspective up until this point, so I'm going to shut off. I'm going to shut off my belief system and listen to you and listen to what you're about to say because I hadn't thought about this because I've thought he wasn't white this entire time. So yeah. So now
he's white as fuck.
Right.
I mean, it might not even be why he did it. He might have found the worst examples, and maybe you were too reasonable, and it doesn't fit the narrative of being funny. I mean, his show, although his show has points and he makes these very, these clear conclusions, and but it's funny. It's a funny show.
Yeah,
that's the whole thing behind it.
But any girl who's dated me knows. Like, I have enough episodes on that platform. You can find some stuff to make fun of me about.
Well, I'm sure they could, but I don't think that's the kind of thing they're trying to make fun of, like individual personalities that say stupid shit. I think what they're trying to do is point out the disingenuous narrative from the NRA while ignoring the disingenuous narrative from the anti-gun advocates.
Okay. I could possibly see that. I'm trying to be fair and reasonable because my mind wants to go, nah. he realized that by mentioning me, right, it's going to pique curiosity with the audience in which he's trying to.
So you think that you're too reasonable and too logical, and that since you're not like this redneck hee-haw type character that like to talk about you, it doesn't fit their narrative. So let's just ignore him and concentrate on the dummies.
Think about it, like,
right? But the dummies are still real, though, right?
Yeah, but they have dummies on all sides.
That's true. Right? That's true. But it's pretty easy to find like pro-gun dummies. You can find quite a few of them.
I can. Pretty easy to find dummies on the other side as well, too.
For sure. But you wouldn't be looking if you were on that side, right? If you're on the anti-gun side, you're looking for pro-gun dummies. Pro-gun dummies.
Yeah.
Pro-gun dummies are easy to find. They are, right? There's plenty of them right now. You can go fucking find them on Instagram and Twitter, and there's dummies all over the world.
But see, here's the thing, though. The thing about what John Oliver does, and this is the kind of disingenuous nature of satire. Right?
Okay.
Political satire, I call it the comedian plausible deniability card, right?
Okay.
So you can make a joke about something and then say, oh, it has no influence because it's just a joke. It's not.
But he's not saying that, is he? He's not saying it doesn't have an influence.
Well, exactly. He understands the influence it wields. But he's saying he can always swipe the plausible deniability card and say, well, no, I wasn't making an actual political statement. Like, I know that there are reasonable people on the other side. No, you're pushing a narrative that has been pushed for decades about an organization that fights for the Second Amendment. The same narrative that's being pushed by groups of people who say the only thing standing in their way of more gun control is the NRA. So what do you do? So where does the NRA get its power from? Because they talk out of both sides of their mouth. The NRA gets their power from the NRA gets their power by their membership.
Right.
Right. So what do? You do your best to stifle that membership. You make it seem as unattractive as possible, and then your audience is already largely uneducated on the issue. Right. And then there's already this perceived notion that the NRA is just a bunch of racist white rednecks. Right. So then what do you do to further that narrative? You talk about their platform, and then you pull out all of those things that further drive that narrative while ignoring the most popular figure on the platform.
Which is you.
Which is me, and who so happens to be black. So what does that say? It tells me that it was deliberate. I really do want to agree with you and say, you know what? He's white. He didn't want to be seen as attacking the black guy, so forth and so on.
I think there's a little of that, but I think there's also he's doing a show. Yeah. Now, let me explain how a show works. He's got a team of writers. There's a ton of people back there. They are just trying to be funny. They're trying to make points for sure, but they're trying to find stupid shit that they can mock.
Yeah.
And why would they concentrate on the guy who makes sense if they're looking for stupid shit that they can mock? They're not trying to make a balanced, reasonable argument like maybe we would do right here, right now.
Yeah.
What they're doing is doing a condensed, edited down, very smooth, polished television show where that rant has been dissected and gone over by a team of writers, and they have video that corresponds to it and photographs that they go to, and they have clips that they show, and then they mock the clips. It's a comedy show. They do have a point, but it's a comedy show.
Absolutely agree with you.
So that's why they didn't go after you, is because maybe you're a lawyer, maybe you're articulate, maybe it is because you're young and black, and they just don't feel like it's a smart thing to do. But it's because they're making a show.
I agree with you. Now, let me tell you why my panties are in a ruffle about it.
Okay.
It's because I understand the influence of that show when people make political decisions.
But don't you think it's preaching to the choir, that show?
What do you mean? That one?
That show, yeah. John Oliver's show. I think if I had to guess how many people who are watching that show are left-wing leaning, Democratic leaning, liberal leaning, I would say it's a giant percentage.
Here's the problem, though. The number of people who come to me and say, I don't deal with the NRA because they're racist and they're a bunch of white rednecks.
Who says that?
Oh, God, I get it all the time.
Well, what is the evidence that they point to? They just assume that they're racist?
That's just it.
Yeah.
Because in their attempts to just make a show, right? And I agree with you wholeheartedly. I absolutely agree with you. But we can't undermine how influential that show is at crafting people's thoughts about particular issues and ideologies within this country. Right. And so I stand back and I'm like, man, this is dangerous, because to me, the Second Amendment is incredibly important. Right? You know what the funny thing is? I thought the monologue was hilarious.
He's a funny dude.
The monologue is hilarious. I'll give him the monologue. Monologue was funny.
Well, then isn't he a funny dude because he said that funny monologue?
He was a funny dude during that 20-minute monologue.
Oh, okay. Sometimes he's not. You're very you
got to demonstrate.
combative.
You got to demonstrate consistency.
Okay.
You got to give me consistency.
Okay,
you give me some consistency, I'll let you drop the ball a couple times here and there. That's fine.
Okay.
But as far as consistency,
It's a tough job. That John Oliver guy. He's got a tough job.
I think it's incredibly tough. I think comedians don't get enough credit.
I'm not sure he's even a real comedian. I mean, is he a stand-up? Does John Oliver do stand-up?
Is that the barometer for being a comedian, stand-up?
For us.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a big difference.